Hi, my name is Masana, and I'm a TED speaker, best-selling author, and spiritual coach and healer. I have drawn my inspiration from some of my friends to talk about how I read 3 books in one day. Yeah, 3 books in one day. You heard it right. And it's been a long time, over the last 5 years, I have made a lot of progress spiritually, mentally, physically. And I've worked as a teacher, as a school teacher. And I remember my students being really in awe. Oh my God, how do you do that, ma'am? However, I had an audience there to tell them how do I do it, and some of the students took it, and some of the students managed to do it. In fact, I know students who really started reading very fast. And today in the morning, I realized when some of my old friends asked me, in fact, till the evening, I've been asked questions by many people, how do you manage to read 3 books in one day? So I thought, let's just share that part of it, because there are some things that, and I have been asked this question by similar questions by many people, how do you manage to do so many things? So I thought, let's talk about it, yeah? So how do I manage to read 3 books in one day? And a lot of it, you can do it yourself. Maybe not 3 books from the beginning. Maybe you can start with 1 book in one day or 1 book in 2 days and get on to the speed that you really wish to, conquer. So the first thing that I would like to say is that the choice of books really matters. Choice of books really matters. How? Because I would not go on and find out books that I'm not interested in and read them. Yeah, so I choose books that I really want to read. Yeah, I remember once I was reading on twin flames and all these things, and the very next day I started writing my own book. So that was a night I read 4 books in one night. Yeah, 2 of them were obviously 100 pages each, and the third and the fourth one were 200 plus pages. But that was something in 8 to 9 hours I managed to read 4 books. Yeah, so I've done that as well, and that's nothing superhuman. I believe we are those devices which do not have a manual, and we've been conditioned to believe that there is a limitation. So because of the limitation, we do not know much about ourselves. So as I talked to you about the first thing, choice really matters. You got to pick up books that you really like. The content really matters. So if I would choose some boring books I'm not interested in, sorry, I will not read. The second thing that really makes a huge difference is atmosphere. The atmosphere of my house is controlled by me because I live with my 2 little kids. 2 boys. Of course, I'm sure you can, really understand. They're boys, so their energies need to be channelized. So I first get them into either the mode of reading or into some, work that they would be very interested in. And that's generally after I've spent some time with them that I get into reading, so that they don't feel, oh my God, we are missing mama. No. So I take out that kind of time. I build that kind of atmosphere. The TV is not on, and I live in one such house. I got this place to be in where it's absolutely calm and quiet to be able to read. If you ask me to go and read in front of people who are all kind of buzz, and I don't think I'll be able to do that. So atmosphere really matters. Obviously, even then I would be able to do a higher level of, at a higher level of speed, but definitely not 3 books in a day. Okay, so atmosphere, really matters. I also know people who create atmosphere by focus music. Yeah, and there are many focus musics also. That happens when I have to do some boring work, boring kind of a book when I have to read. Then I use focus music, and maybe I light incense sticks or something, to create that atmosphere. The third thing that I would say is focus. Focus is very important, and I'm sure everyone is thinking, thank you for this point, because we don't need that point. We already know that our focus is lagging. So how can you get the focus to be in place? Because someone was just telling me some time ago, there was this lady who was telling me, I can't focus, I take 1 hour to read 3 pages, and after that I've forgotten those 3 pages also. So how to build up this focus? Everyone knows that meditation is a great way of building a focus. How to start meditation? You can start meditation with guided meditations. Okay, if you can't start with guided meditations, just pick up those songs, those religious songs, all those songs, any kind of song, just keep quiet. Keep quiet and just focus on the lyrics. Start like that. Then maybe one day you will be able to just listen to frequencies and focus on that. And maybe the frequencies will go. And after that, you can focus like I do now. I don't need any frequency or any guided meditation. I just sit quietly for 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours in absolute silence. But another thing that has not been talked about focus is making your body move. Yes, making your body move is something that healers and coaches are not talking about. Unless you like really pay them a lot, or unless they're like real gurus. Because, you know, people who have like really awakened will not call themselves guru. So body movement is absolutely very important. If you really want to see if this healer is right for you or not, look at the body structure. You'll be able to understand whether they're actually awakened or not. They're talking about spirituality, but they are truly and deeply spiritual or not can be told by the body. Body movement is absolutely necessary. How did I start it? Even till date, when I'm like very lazy, music starts it for me. Peppy music. So maybe I tell myself, I'm not going to walk. I'm just going to listen to song. Oh, I'm going to listen to song outside in nature. Wow. Then how will I do Zumba? I just wake up with a very peppy music and then I get into dancing. Then dancing eventually becomes Zumba. Of course, now I've reached a state where I don't need this music and I get into yoga early in the morning every day. Both these things, meditation and exercise, get a huge, magnanimous amount of focus. Focus is very important for reading. Then the fourth thing that I do is I time myself. Clearly, very clearly I time myself. Like yesterday, last night, last to last night when I was deciding which books am I going to read in the next 24 hours, I was picking up these 3 books. One of them was an ebook. So one was like 300 pages around, the other one was 240 and the third one was like 44 pages. So 44 pages I kept to the end, okay? Like as though it's a dessert or something I have to eat. So the middle one I picked up first, okay, 220 pages or something, okay, let me start with this. I timed myself 3 hours. 3 hours to finish it off. Now, when I timed myself as 3 hours, obviously it went off to 4.5 hours. The next one went on for like, again, 1 hour later. And when I say that I read 3 books in one day, I did not mean that that was the only work I did. I cooked also. I had a good time with my kids. I went and walked. And I also attended another course. So these 3 books I finished off by timing myself. When you time yourselves, and this is one thing I told my students. I remember 2 years ago, I was talking about Parkinson's law. The amount of time that you get to do a work, the work will fill in the gap accordingly. Like let's say, if I tell my students, you have to write an essay, submit it by 1 week, like after 1 week. Most of the students will write that essay 1 day before the submission. So we all know that, you know, the amount of time that you have got, you will be able to manage in that. Time is a magical thing. Time brings about a lot of responsibility. So I time myself and read the book. The next thing, which is absolutely very important, and I don't understand, like, you know, people don't understand that actually. When we talk about affirmations, people think, oh, affirmation is like nothing. And there was one speech by Mohammed Khatani, Toastmasters. He won that, the prize. And I've always shown my students, power of words. What you say becomes your reality. Some people say, I can never do that. So it will never happen. If you can't do that, it will not happen. So get into this mode. I can do it. I have done it kind of a mode. Like law of attraction really works at the fastest. I remember I wanted to do the speed reading course around 7-8 years ago. I was at my lowest low in my life. And I was not earning at that point of time to be able to get myself into that. But I feel very fortunate because most of the techniques that these people were talking about was all related to mind. So I have gone beyond the mind now, I think. And I've realized that the brain is just an organ. Okay. That's, one of the things that I have realized, and I've surrendered to the soul. Okay. If I want to do it, I can do it. That is, the entire attitude. So please tell yourself you can do it. Don't be a failure right on the first. I don't think I can do it, but let me try. Don't try. Do it. Okay. Then another thing that, this is a problem of mainly people who are literary or people who are teaching English or people who have learned English, like masters in English and all. We had been taught to like savor every sentence. Oh my God, the poet is like, oh my God, so beautiful these lines are. And I got to understand each and every word. This is one thing you have to take yourself out from, okay? Because you cannot frankly look into the dictionary for every word. Frankly, in IGCSE, that's what I've taught my students. You got to understand the words yourself. You can't learn the dictionary. I remember one of my, in the hostel, there was this girl who said that my chachu was a master's in English. She remembered the entire dictionary. Now, I'm not a master's in English or a writer or whatever, because I know the entire dictionary. That never was my ambition. I think when I read a word, through the context, I try to understand it first. So I don't do that, like looking up the dictionary every now and then, unless it like really becomes impossible for me to understand the context. And I also do not like keep getting, obsessed with, oh my God, what a beautiful sentence. That's one of the problems with, being a master's in English. The second, the other thing that is very important is the reading technique. Reading technique, that's something that we were taught in B.Ed, but not many of us are actually applying that. Skimming and scanning. It's not like, I'm not going to find out the deepest meaning of every sentence and paragraph and chapter. Sometimes people, the writers are explaining things that you already know. So you got to read them fast. Sometimes they're talking about something which you are very new to. So maybe you will be required to read that 3 times. So that is how I go. And I generally skim through in the first time. So skimming through does not now, some people will think, I'm sure some people, I'm sure like, I have met some people who would say that, she skims through, that is why she's able to manage. No, my skimming through is full of focus. So I can tell you about the book, frankly, even after reading the book. And that is not to open any kind of competition, but I'm just saying that skimming and scanning are 2 different techniques. Is that book really magical? Is that book really full of, meaning? Not all books are. Like I can tell you about some of the books which are like, creating the bestsellers, but they don't have that much to offer. Or maybe I have read something similar previously, so I do not find so much meaning in that. And there are some books which are like very small and I found a lot of meaning in them. So those books I would reread. In fact, Only Love is Real. The book that I first read in 2006 and I read it in 4 hours only. That was my fastest reading speed at that point of time. I was unwell and my elder sister had taken me to her house and she said that while you are lying down here, try to read this. I said, I'm in fever. You think I can read it? She said, it's too interesting to be ignored. So I just thought that let's read the first chapter and then I'll go off to sleep. The first chapter. And then I finished the book in like 3-4 hours. And then she came back for lunch and she said, did you start reading? I said, I finished reading. So in 4 hours, I finished reading. That was such an interesting book. And that's a book I visited at least 50 times. Yes, that was a book. And today I am a past life regression therapist. So, you got to decide which book has to be read fast, which book has to be you need to revisit and stuff like that. You don't always have to make a thesis or a research paper on every book. You got to get the crux of the book. What is the author trying to tell you? Anyway, and finally, what I really wish to talk about, managing to read 3 books and stuff like that, I think it also comes from the fact that I've realized that brain is also just another, what do you call it? It's an organ. Okay, a lot of us, I have been that person who used to think, oh my God, I'm such a genius. I'm so intelligent. I used to think about like that, about myself and like take pride. Oh, I've been a topper and I've been a leader and this, that and the other. Until the time I was doing all that, I think I was quite limited. And then through meditation and, all the magical things that happen in my life, I realized that there's something much higher than the brain. And I stopped identifying myself with the brain. And I stopped saying that I'm bad in this and I'm good in this. Let's see. If I want, I can be good in anything that I want. And I surrender to the soul. Yeah. So when you surrender to the soul and you actually, that's a phase which is like really called self-love. That's a phase where you start questioning, who am I? When that phase comes up, all impossible things become possible. Anyway, so it all starts with things, saying, I can do it. I will do it. Maybe some of these days, one of these days I can make a video on how to realize or how to decode your superhuman capabilities. For today, signing off, Arunima. Thank you so much.